In a world sculpted by ice, long before the rise of civilization, the continents were ruled by titans. This was an age of colossal herbivores and the formidable predators that hunted them, creatures whose power and ferocity are now etched only in stone and frozen earth.
Across the vast plains of North America, a shadow fell. This land, the ancestral cradle of the canine family for some 40 million years, had forged a new and terrible hunter. From the genus Canis, which arose 6 million years ago, an evolutionary branch diverged, giving rise to the dire wolf. While some of its ancient relatives journeyed across the Bering land bridge into Asia, eventually evolving into the striped jackals of today, those that remained in the Americas were locked in a brutal arms race. To survive, they had to hunt giants. To hunt giants, they had to become giants themselves.
The dire wolf became the largest true canid in the planet's history. An adult male averaged 68 kilograms, with the most powerful individuals estimated to reach a staggering 110 kilograms. Stretching more than 170 centimeters from nose to tail, these were no ordinary wolves. They were hypercarnivores, built with heavier bones and more powerful jaws, perfectly engineered to bring down the Pleistocene megafauna, wild horses, towering bison, and even the camels that once roamed the continent. In lethal packs, they challenged the reign of the saber-toothed cats and the American lions, their howls echoing to the very edge of the glaciers. But their specialization was also their doom. When the climate shifted and their colossal prey vanished, the dire wolf could not adapt. Around 13,000 years ago, its reign ended, supplanted by its smaller, more versatile cousin, the gray wolf.
Meanwhile, across the immense expanse of Eurasia, another bone-crushing sovereign held sway: the cave hyena. A massive subspecies of the modern spotted hyena, it was a predator of a different caliber. Weighing up to 100 kilograms, nearly double its modern relatives, and standing a full meter at the shoulder, this was an active and relentless hunter. From the Iberian Peninsula to the Russian Far East, its domain was the frozen steppe. Its primary quarry was the wild horse, but it was powerful enough to tackle bison and the formidable woolly rhinoceros.
In the unforgiving landscape of Ice Age Europe, the most valuable territory was shelter. Here, the cave hyena entered into a primal contest for survival with another intelligent predator, the Neanderthal. Caves across the continent show layers of alternating occupation, evidence of a desperate struggle for warmth and safety. Within one French cave, a crude but unmistakable image of a hyena is scratched into the rock, a testament to the fear and respect it commanded. The scattered remains of early hominids found in these dens tell a darker story, a chilling reminder that in this world, even the hunter could easily become the hunted.
These great predators are gone, their world melted away by time. Yet their legacy endures, a silent testament to an epoch when survival was a daily war. They remind us that dominance is always temporary, and that even the mightiest can be erased by the slow, inexorable turning of the world.
In the unforgiving landscapes of the Pleistocene,
A silent war was waged. Etched into the fossilized bones of giant herbivores is the evidence of this conflict, the puncture marks and scoring left by formidable teeth. In this brutal arena, where survival was measured in strength and strategy, the four-legged hunters almost always claimed victory over their bipedal rivals. Among the most successful of these was a creature of remarkable endurance and lethal efficiency, the Scimitar Cat, Homotherium.
This was one of the most widespread felines of the Ice Age, a ghost that haunted the entire breadth of the tundra steppe. Its remains have been unearthed in a vast arc stretching from the Atlantic shores of Europe to the frozen soil of Alaska. Yet its dominion had limits. While some fossils have been discovered as far south as Venezuela, it seems that south of the modern border between the United States and Canada,
Homotherium could not contend with the sheer power of its larger cousin, Smilodon. But in the subpolar north, it reigned supreme, the sole saber-tooth in a land of perpetual cold.
In size, Homotherium was comparable to a modern African lion, a powerfully built predator weighing up to 190 kilograms and standing over a meter at the shoulder. Its anatomy, however, was unique. The forelimbs were significantly longer than the hind legs, giving it a distinctive sloping back, while its tail was shock claws that provided superior traction, points not to an ambusher, but to a master of pursuit. Homotherium was an endurance runner, capable of chasing down its prey over long distances. These cats lived and hunted in small, cooperative prides, specializing in the largest and most dangerous game.
The most chilling evidence of their prowess lies deep within the Friesenhahn Cave in Texas. Here, paleontologists uncovered a grim ledger written in bone. The skeletons of more than 30 individual Homotherium lay alongside the remains of nearly 400 juvenile mammoths. For generations, this cave was not merely a shelter, but a larder, a testament to the pride's singular ability to systematically prey upon the young of the greatest beasts on the continent. But Homotherium was not the only great feline to cast a long shadow across the ice. Another apex predator, the cave lion, commanded a vast territory across the northern hemisphere during the last glaciation. For many years, it was considered a mere subspecies of the African lion, a cold-adapted variant. Genetic analysis, however, has rewritten this story. The lion lineage began in Africa approximately 1.5 million years ago. From this stock, the Mosbach lion arose, spreading into Europe and southern Siberia some 700,000 years ago. As the global climate cooled further, a new form emerged, more resilient and adapted to the harsh conditions, the cave lion. It crossed the Bering Land Bridge into North America, where it would eventually give rise to the even larger American lion.
The cave lion was a formidable beast, smaller than its Mosbach ancestor, but significantly larger than any lion alive today. Its body, excluding the tail, could reach a length of 2.5 meters, and a large male could weigh over 300 kilograms. Yet its most striking feature was something it lacked. Detailed paintings, left on cavern walls by our own ancestors, depict this predator with astonishing clarity, and they consistently show a cat with no mane. Its primary quarry was reindeer, though it would also hunt wild horses and musk oxen. On occasion, it would even challenge bears for territory and food. This narrow specialization, however, may have been its undoing, leaving it vulnerable when the climate shifted and its preferred prey vanished.
Our knowledge of this magnificent animal is not confined to bones and ancient art. In the permafrost of Siberia, science has been granted a near miraculous gift. 4 lion cubs, perfectly preserved for tens of thousands of years, have emerged from the ice. Their fur, their whiskers, their very forms are intact, offering an unprecedented window into a world long lost.
These great cats shared their world with another icon of the era, a giant whose name is synonymous with the Ice Age, the cave bear. A distant relative of the modern brown bear, this behemoth was one of the largest land carnivores of Eon disappearance. They were all masters of a frozen planet, perfectly adapted to a world of ice and wind. Their world is gone, but their story is not one of failure. It is a silent testament to the planet's relentless capacity for change and the transient nature of all dominion.
1 million years before our time, in the deep past of the Pleistocene, a fateful divergence occurred. An evolutionary path split, separating the ancestors of the modern brown bear from a creature that would become a legend of the Ice Age, the great cave bear.
Its defining characteristic was a scale that strains modern comprehension. Today, only the colossal bears of Kodiak Island approach its formidable parameters. We can only imagine the sight. Rearing up on its hind legs, it would have blotted out the sun, a titan of fur and muscle standing 3 meters tall. Its weight, a staggering 500 kilograms, was a testament to the richness of a lost world. Yet, the chemical secrets locked within its fossilized teeth tell a surprising story. This immense power was not primarily fueled by the hunt. Instead, its diet was overwhelmingly one of plants. A giant sustained by the earth itself, feasting on roots, berries, and the succulent herbaceous growth of the prehistoric landscape. Of course, an animal of this size was an opportunist. If a deer or a bison presented itself, it would not have hesitated.
But a cruel irony was woven into its existence, a fatal habit that would contribute to its downfall. This giant sought refuge not in open dens, but in the labyrinthine depths of limestone caverns. The evidence is etched into stone. Claw marks discovered a great distance from any natural light, in chambers so deep that reaching them is a feat of modern exploration. This instinct for security, however, turned its sanctuary into a trap. In the profound vulnerability of hibernation, it was not safe. Cave lions, and later early humans, learned to navigate these dark corridors. They found the sleeping giants in their lairs, and a den of slumber became a tomb. This very strategy for survival may have been one of the primary forces that pushed this magnificent beast over the precipice of extinction.
Yet another bear, a true monster, stalked this same lost world. It was Arctodus, the giant short-faced bear. By any measure, it was the undisputed heavyweight predator of the mammoth steppe. Its story begins not in the ice, but millions of years earlier, when its ancestors roamed North America. When the Isthmus of Panama rose from the sea 2.5 million years ago, a great migration began. A portion of the short-faced bear population journeyed south, and from them, a different destiny unfurled. They evolved into the modern spectacled bears, the most herbivorous members of the bear family on the planet.
But the northern representatives, those that remained in the harsh crucible of North America, took a far more terrifying path. Around 800,000 years ago, they evolved into a creature of nightmare proportions. Standing between 1.5 and 2 meters at the shoulder alone, its long-legged frame was built for pursuit. In the River Bluff cave system in Missouri, the silent testimony of its passage has been found, etched into the walls more than 4.5 meters from the cavern floor. Such a mark could only be made by an Arctodus rising to its full, staggering height of over 3.5 meters. These giants weighed more than 950 kilograms. This was no lumbering brute. It possessed remarkable endurance, capable of running down prey at speeds of up to 40 kilometers per hour.
It was not simply a hunter, but a terrifying opportunist. It could certainly bring down bison, mastodons, and even intimidate other predators and steal their kills. The further north it lived, the more its diet leaned towards flesh, a necessary adaptation to the unforgiving environment.
While the great bears dominated through sheer mass, another predator ruled through specialized weaponry. History knows it as the saber-toothed tiger, though scientifically the name is incorrect. This was no tiger. This was Smilodon. Forged in the Americas, its dynasty lasted from 2.5 million years ago until the Great Extinction Event just 10,000 years ago. Its lineage, diverging from that of its ancestor Megalania some 22 million years in the past, was ancient and lethal. In sheer scale, it was comparable to the lions and tigers of today, but its anatomy spoke of a different kind of power. Its frame was denser, more robustly constructed, built not for the long chase, but for the ambush and the overwhelming application of force.
These were the ghosts of the ice, titans locked in an evolutionary arms race on a planet that was already changing beneath their feet. Their bones, buried in tar and frozen in earth, are not just relics of a bygone era. They are a profound reminder that even the most formidable power is transient, and that every reign, no matter how mighty,
eventually comes to an end.
In a world sculpted by ice, a predator of profound power held dominion. It was a creature of immense bulk and brutal efficiency, known to science as Smilodon. Built low to the ground, its frame was a dense chassis of muscle, supported by broad, powerful paws designed not for the chase, but for grappling with giants. A short, bobbed tail was the mark of an ambush specialist, a hunter that had no need for the balancing rudder of a high-speed pursuit predator.
Depending on the species, these great cats tip the scales at anywhere from 160 to a staggering 400 kilograms. But their defining feature, their instruments of death, were the colossal canines. In the largest of their kind, Smilodon populator, these twin sabers of bone measured up to 28 centimeters, including the deep roots that anchored them in the skull. To deploy these weapons, the creature's jaw was a biological marvel, capable of opening to an astonishing 120 degrees, nearly double that of a modern lion.
These were not cats of the open plains. Their theater of operations was the dense woodland and tangled scrub where they could lie in wait. From these shadows, they specialized in bringing down the behemoths of the Pleistocene. The foundation of their diet was the megafauna of the age: young mammoths, lumbering mastodons, formidable steppe bison, and ancient horses. Whether they hunted alone or in small cooperative family groups remains a subject of debate, but the result was the same: a swift, devastating takedown of prey many times their own size. Their end, however, came not from a rival predator, but from a change in the world itself, a change brought by the arrival of cunning, tool-wielding humans who systematically dismantled the Smilodon's food supply.
But the story of the Ice Age was not written solely in the Northern Hemisphere. Far to the south of the equator, on a continent isolated by time, one that successfully combined the qualities of giant and hunter into a single, terrifying form: Megalania. Throughout the Pleistocene, this gigantic lizard was the undisputed apex carnivore of the entire Australian continent.
For decades, science has attempted to grasp its sheer scale, with estimates of its length varying from 3.5 to a truly monstrous 9 meters, and its mass from 330 to perhaps 2,200 kilograms. In its ecological role, Megalania is most often compared to its modern relative, the Komodo dragon, but it was a far more formidable beast. Its skull was more massive and yet more flexible. Its teeth,
These creatures arose more than 1.5 million years ago, and their shadows fell upon the landscape until approximately 40,000 years ago. This timeline means that the first Aboriginal people to arrive in Australia did not step into an empty land. They stepped into Megalania's world and could well have witnessed this marvel of evolution, this true monster in the flesh. It is believed they haunted the grassy savannas and sparse woodlands with powerful bites and crushing blows from its muscular tail. It would not have hesitated to scavenge or to intimidate other predators such as marsupial lions and giant crocodiles from their kills. The young, being lighter and more agile, could have pursued kangaroos, but the adults targeted the larger, slower megafauna, the true giants of this lost Australian world. Yet even this reptilian titan was bound to the earth. In another isolated kingdom, an archipelago forged by volcanoes, the ultimate predator came from above. On the islands of New Zealand, a land where mammals had never gained a foothold, the throne of the apex predator was occupied by a bird, the Haast's eagle. This was no ordinary raptor. It was nearly 1.5 times the size of the largest eagle alive today, the South American harpy. Its wings spanned more than 2.5 meters, but its weight was its true weapon. A dense 10 to 14 kilograms of muscle and bone. With virtually no terrestrial predators to challenge it, the Haast's eagle became the absolute ruler of its domain. Its primary prey was the moa,
the giant, flightless birds that filled the ecological niche of large herbivores. The eagle would launch itself from a high perch, a feathered nightmare diving at terrifying speeds, striking the moa with talons the size of a tiger's claws. It was a reign of terror from the sky, a perfect and brutal adaptation to a unique environment.
The saber-tooth, the giant lizard, the monster eagle. Each was a pinnacle of evolution, a master of its own lost world. They were not failures. They were perfect solutions to the questions their environments asked. Their extinction serves as a stark reminder that dominance is always temporary, that even the mightiest can be undone by a world in constant, relentless flux. Their fossilized remains are more than just curiosities. They are a testament to the sheer creative and destructive power of nature, and a quiet echo of the silence left behind when giants fall.
In the ancestral legends of the Maori, it was a creature of terrifying myth, a giant bird that hunted men. This was no fantasy. This was the Haast's eagle. Given its colossal dimensions, it is entirely plausible that this apex predator could have carried off a human child, a feathered nightmare descending from the canopy. Its method was brutally efficient, a high-speed dive from above, with immense talons aimed to crush the skull and sever the spine.
For an animal of its sheer mass, its wings were surprisingly short, suggesting it was not a creature of long, soaring flights. Instead, it was an ambush hunter, perfectly adapted to the dense forests of ancient New Zealand, using its powerful wings for explosive bursts of speed. Its reign, however, was brought to an abrupt end by the arrival of humanity. The local tribes not only hunted the great eagle itself, but in a catastrophically short time, they drove its primary food source, the giant flightless moa, to utter extinction. The predator, starved of... Yet, while this titan vanished, many of its Ice Age contemporaries endured. Reindeer, muskoxen, yaks, and even two-humped camels are not specters of a forgotten epoch. They are survivors. Wolves, foxes, and lynx, who once stalked the mammoth steppe, simply shifted their territories, adapting to a world without ice sheets. They are living echoes of a lost ecosystem, proof that the past is never truly gone.
This very persistence has fueled one of science's most audacious dreams, to restore that unique landscape. In the year 1997, the ecologist Sergei Zimov established an experiment in Yakutia known as the Pleistocene Park. Here, bison, muskoxen, hardy Yakutian horses, moose, and northern reindeer now roam. They are the first architects in the slow, painstaking reconstruction of the mammoth steppe. Gradually, through their grazing and trampling, the ecosystem is being re-engineered into a semblance of its former glory. But the ambition does not end with the landscape. Japanese and Korean scientists are now deep into the complex work of genetic engineering, attempting to resurrect the woolly mammoth itself. While the return of these shaggy giants may still be decades away, the revival of the cave bear, the steppe bison, or the ancient wild contemplate their return. Having once wielded the power to erase entire branches from the tree of life, we now stand at the threshold of becoming creators, tasked with the profound responsibility of deciding which ghosts should be allowed to walk the earth once more.